I welcome you once again to today's edition of our learning program. I believe you are doing well. Our subject for today is mathematics, and our topic, fractions. I have labeled today's topic as fractions 2 because this is the continuation of our lesson on fractions. Good. Now, what are we supposed to achieve at the end of this lesson? At the end of the lesson, you can represent shaded parts of an object as a fraction by 1. Identifying the numerator of a fraction. 2. Identifying the denominator of a fraction. 3. Reading the shaded part of an object as a fraction. And 4. Writing the shaded part of an object as a fraction. Now get ready for the lesson. The denominator and the numerator of a fraction. The denominator and the numerator of a fraction. Now let's take the denominator first. Let's observe on our immediate left, the object over there has been divided into 2 equal parts, and one is shaded red or coded red. Good. And the fraction is written as 1 out of 2 or 1 over 2. You can also say 1 on 2. Good. Now, 2 stands for the total number of parts. This means the object is divided into 2 equal parts. 2 is called the denominator. That is the down number. It is always called the denominator, and it represents or shows the total number of parts the object is divided into. Let's go through that again. The denominator. The object on our left is divided into 2 equal parts. One is coded or shaded red out of the 2 equal parts. The fraction is written as 1 out of 2. What we are looking at over here is the down number, which is 2. That shows the object is divided into 2 equal parts. And 2 stands for the total number of parts. This means the object is divided into 2 equal parts. 2 is called the denominator. Good. Now let's look at the numerator of a fraction. On our right, the object stands the same. It has been divided into 2 equal parts. 1 part out of the 2 parts are shaded, and it is shaded or coded red. Good. We are looking at the fraction that is written as 1 on 2 or 1 out of 2. 1 part out of the 2 is shaded, which is the red one, taken out of the 2 parts. And so we say 1 part is shaded. 1 stands for the shaded part. The shaded part, which is 1, is taken out of the 2 equal parts. And 1 is called the denominator. That is written on top of the 2 parts out of which that 1 was taken. And so therefore, the denominator of a fraction shows the number or the total number of parts the object is divided into. And then the numerator of a fraction shows a part that is coded or shaded. The denominator is written below and the numerator on top of the denominator. Very good. Let's continue. representing the shaded part of an object as a fraction. Representing the shaded part of an object as a fraction. Let's look at these examples. The first one, we have the object divided into two equal parts and one is shaded, and so we say, or we write that fraction and read it as 1 out of 2. That means one part is shaded or taken out of the two equal parts. The second one, we have the object divided into three equal parts. One is shaded, and then we say or write it as 1 on 3 or 1 out of 3. That means one part is taken out of the three equal parts. The third example, we have an object divided into 4 equal parts. 2 are shaded out of the 4 equal parts, and so we write it and we read it as 2 on 4 or 2 out of 4. That means 2 parts of the 4 equal parts are being taken out. 2 parts are taken out of the 4 equal parts, and so we have 2 out of 4. Example number 4, we have the object divided into 10 equal parts. Out of the 10 parts, 5 are shaded, and so we write and read it as 5 on 10 or 5 out of 10. You can also say 5 over 10, which means 5 parts out of the 10 equal parts are shaded or taken out. Example number 5. Now take a careful look at this. You can observe that all the parts have been shaded. This is an object that is divided into 6 equal parts and all are shaded. When it happens this way, or when we see all the parts of an object shaded, we have the numerator and the denominator to be the same. And so therefore, as we have this object to be divided into 6 equal parts, 6 parts are shaded out of the 6 equal parts, and so we have 6 out of 6. And this can also be written as 1 because all the 6 parts joins or come together to form the whole object itself, and so we have a whole or 1. Again, when all the parts of an object are shaded, we can write it as 1, or that total number out of the number of parts it has been divided into, and then we write it as a whole or 1 because all have been shaded, and so it is equal to 1. So therefore this makes the answer to be 6 out of 6 or 1. Very good. Now we come to the conclusion of our lesson. What have we learned so far? We learned about identifying the numerator of a fraction. We also learned about identifying the denominator of a fraction. We learned about reading the shaded part of an object as a fraction. And also, we learned about writing the shaded part of an object as a fraction. Let's go through that again. We learned about the numerator of a fraction, the denominator of a fraction, and then we also read on shaded parts of an object as a fraction, and we wrote something on the shaded parts of an object as a fraction. Now, here are our assignments. Assignments. Express the shaded part as a fraction. You are to express each and every part shaded in the following questions as a fraction. as we looked at. Let's have a flashback. Yes, in our examples, you are to do the same with these questions and represent the shaded part as a fraction. Let's try number 1 together. How many parts is the object shaded into? How many parts are we having? Or how many parts is the object divided into? How many parts is the object divided into? And we also ask, how many parts are shaded? We know that the total number of parts is going to be our denominator, and the total number of parts shaded is going to be our numerator. So first of all, let's take the total number of parts the object is divided into. Let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. So we write that down as our denominator. Now let's come to the number of parts shaded. Let's do it together. We have 1, 2, and 3. Good. So we write that 3 on top of the 5. Now we have our fraction to be 3 out of 5, or 3 on 5. So this means that 3 parts are shaded out of the 5 parts, or 3 parts are taken out of the 5 parts. Thank you for your attention and your time. Do well to relate the lesson to similar topics or same topics in your textbooks and solve them as well. See you same time. Stay safe. Goodbye.